All right, so get ready for a deep dive. And this one is on Spanish idioms.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, should be good. And the star of the show is the word mosca.
Which means,
This means fly in Spanish.
okay,
We're going to be looking at all these different expressions that use this word mosca.
interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It gives you a glimpse into Spanish culture and humor.
Yeah, and idioms are so fascinating because they often use these like images
Right.
or metaphors that if you translate them literally, they don't make any sense.
Exactly.
So if you want to really get fluent in Spanish,
Yeah.
you have to sort of crack the code of these idioms.
Yeah, for sure. You have to know what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump right in
Huh.
with one of my favorites, ser una mosquita muerta.
Okay.
So literally this means to be a little dead fly,
Okay.
which sounds kind of dark, I guess, but
Yeah.
the meaning is actually much more interesting.
Right.
So would you like to explain this one?
Yeah, so basically it describes someone who appears very innocent and harmless on the surface,
Right.
but underneath they're a little bit mischievous, maybe even cunning.
Yeah.
Like you think they're just this dead fly, but really they're...
They're up to something.
Exactly.
Yeah, playing the long game.
Exactly.
I feel like it's a character you see often in movies.
Yeah.
Where it's like someone who acts all sweet and unassuming, but then bam, they're the mastermind behind the whole plot.
Yeah, it's that deceptive vibe
Totally.
that the idiom captures perfectly.
It really does.
And I think it speaks to this element of Spanish culture, of subtlety,
Okay.
and reading between the lines.
Mhm.
It's not always what's said outright, but more about those unspoken cues
Right.
and those hidden meanings.
You got to be paying attention.
Exactly.
Or you might miss those mosquito muerta moves.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so what's our next one?
Our next one is, ¿Qué mosca te ha picado?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ew.
Which means, what fly has bitten you?
Exactly. And basically what this means is, why are you in a bad mood?
Yeah.
Why are you angry? What's eating you?
It's just like a way more fun way to ask that.
Yes.
Like, instead of just saying, why are you grumpy?
Yeah.
What fly has bitten you?
It's way more playful.
It is. It's so playful, and it really, I think it highlights how in Spanish culture,
Mm-hmm.
those strong emotions
Yes.
are often expressed more openly,
Mm-hmm.
more colorfully. It's not about bottling things up.
No?
It's about letting them out,
Yeah.
maybe in a slightly exaggerated way.
Right. Exactly.
Makes sense. Okay, moving right along to another mosca idiom.
Okay.
And we've actually got two related ones here.
Okay.
Estar mosca and estar moscado.
All right.
Both of which kind of play on that idea of being annoyed
Mm-hmm.
or bothered by something.
Yeah, so both of them convey that sense of being bugged,
Yeah.
but there's a subtle difference in the intensity.
Okay.
Estar mosca is more like a mild annoyance, whereas estar moscado is more of a stronger feeling. Okay.
Closer to anger.
So if someone's moscado,
Yeah.
you might want to give them some space
Right. You want to tread lightly.
before trying to talk things out.
Exactly.
Maybe they've been bitten by a more aggressive fly.
Maybe so. And I think it's interesting because
Yeah.
Spanish has this nuance in terms of its words for emotions.
Uh-huh.
So you can express very specific shades of feeling.
I love that about the Spanish language.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about being happy or sad.
Right.
It's all those subtle shades in between.
Exactly.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and take a look at por si las moscas.
Okay, so this literally means in case of flies.
Okay, that does sound a bit odd.
It does sound a little strange.
Like, what situation are you preparing for?
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
Where there's going to be a sudden swarm of flies.
Right, exactly.
Well, the actual meaning is just in case,
Mhm.
or as a precaution.
Like
So it's not about literal flies.
Yeah.
It's more about taking steps to be ready.
For any unexpected situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm packing an extra sweater
Yeah.
for si los moscas,
Exactly.
even though it's supposed to be warm today.
Right.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, it's a very practical idiom
Yeah.
that emphasizes preparedness,
Uh-huh.
anticipating those potential problems.
Yeah, it makes me think about
Mm,
how important context is
yes.
when learning a new language.
Absolutely.
You can't always rely on a word-for-word translation.
Yeah.
You really have to understand the nuance
Mm-hmm.
and the cultural meaning behind the expression.
The cultural nuances, exactly.
Okay, this next one I think has some really interesting imagery.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's tener la mosca detrás de la oreja.
Ooh, that's a vivid one.
It is. It's very vivid. And this means literally to have the fly behind the ear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it a live fly?
Yeah, and how to get there.
Yeah, like how did it get back there?
Right. It's not the most pleasant image.
No, it's a little unsettling.
But the actual meaning is all about suspicion. Okay.
So to have the fly behind the ear
Yeah.
means to have a hunch that something's off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just have this nagging feeling of doubt.
Right. It's like when you meet someone new and they
Yeah.
seem nice enough, but you just get this weird feeling in your gut.
Yes, you just can't explain it.
Yeah. Or maybe like you overhear a conversation
Right.
and you just have this sense that someone's not being totally truthful.
That's your MOSCA buzzing,
That's it.
telling you to pay attention.
Yeah. And it really captures that feeling of suspicion so well.
It does.
All right. Let's move on to another MOSCA gem.
Okay, I'm ready.
This one is cazar moscas.
Okay, so that means to hunt flies,
Ton of flies, yeah.
which sounds like a rather pointless activity.
It does. It really does.
And that's exactly what the idiom means.
Okay.
It means to waste time doing unproductive things.
So instead of tackling that big project, you're just sitting around figuratively,
Yeah,
hunting flies.
exactly.
And I think it reflects a cultural emphasis on
Yes.
making the most of your time,
Yikes.
focusing on what's important.
Right.
And even, I think, almost that sense that wasting time
Yeah.
is almost disrespectful.
Almost like you're not valuing your own potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. It makes me think about how our perception of time and productivity
Yes.
is very much shaped by
Yeah.
our cultural background.
It's very culturally relative.
It is, absolutely. And speaking of productivity,
Yeah.
sometimes we get carried away with our efforts.
Sometimes we do.
And this brings us to the idiom.
Okay.
Matar moscas a cañonazos.
Now that's just epic.
I know, this one is just
It's a great
over the top, and this means literally to kill flies with cannon fire, which is, I mean, talk about overkill.
I mean, why not use a fly swatter, right?
Right, I know.
It's just this brilliant idiom that uses humor and exaggeration to really illustrate that idea of using excessive force.
Yeah. Or resources for a simple task.
Yeah, like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut.
Exactly.
I can picture someone trying to swat a fly with a giant cannon.
Oh, I can see it.
I mean, the image is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it perfectly captures that idea of going way overboard.
Yes, exactly.
All right, after all that cannon fire,
Yeah, we need a break.
let's take a moment to appreciate the wisdom of en boca cerrada no entran moscas.
Ah, yes, so that means flies don't enter a closed mouth.
Right.
And this one's all about the power of silence. And choosing your words carefully.
Right.
You know, thinking before you speak.
I love how this idiom uses such a vivid image to get that idea across. It's like,
Yeah.
those pesky flies represent
Yes.
all the trouble
All the potential trouble.
that can come from speaking without thinking.
Yeah, it's a reminder that sometimes
Yeah.
the best thing to say is nothing at all.
Right, right.
Especially in situations where your words could be misconstrued or cause unnecessary conflict.
Makes me think about how in many cultures, silence is so valued
Yes.
as a sign of respect and wisdom and thoughtfulness.
Absolutely.
Okay, so even though it's wise to choose our words carefully, there are times when we encounter people
Yeah.
who don't seem to understand the concept of personal space.
Exactly.
Which brings us to our final idiom.
Okay, hit me with it.
Ser una mosca cojonera.
Ooh, I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
So this literally means to be a pain in the ass fly.
Yes.
And it describes someone who is,
Extremely annoying, bothersome, like that persistent fly.
you know, I think we've all encountered our fair share
Yes.
of moscas cojoneras in our lives.
That's a universal experience.
It really is.
And it's interesting how it uses such a visceral image to really convey that feeling of intense annoyance.
Yeah, it does it very well.
It does, yeah.
Well, you know, exploring all these MOSCA idioms, it's been so insightful.
It really has.
I had no idea that this tiny little creature could inspire such a range of expressions.
Yeah, it really goes to show how creative and expressive language can be.
Yeah.
And even though we've covered a lot, this is really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Spanish idioms.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are so many more out there.
I know, it's amazing.
So many more to explore. Yeah, and it just makes you wonder, you know,
It does.
do other languages have idioms like this?
Yeah.
Using, you know, insects.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are any universal themes or if they're all totally unique
That is a great question.
to each culture.
And it really highlights
Yeah.
how exploring idioms can open up
Yeah.
a whole new world
Mhm.
of linguistic and cultural insights.
Yeah, and maybe that's something
It is.
that you could explore on your own.
Ooh, yeah. I
Like,
like that.
See what other buggy expressions you can find out there.
Oh, now I'm picturing a whole new deep dive
Right.
dedicated to insect idioms from around the world.
That would be fascinating.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Okay, but
But getting back to Spanish,
okay.
I think it's important to remember
Yeah.
that idioms aren't just about memorizing phrases.
Right.
It's really about understanding
Yeah.
how language reflects a culture's values and humor
Yes.
and even history.
Right. Like we've seen how these MOSCA idioms
Yeah.
really reveal a lot about Spanish attitudes
Yes.
towards honesty, time management,
Yeah.
even how they handle annoyance.
Right, exactly.
And the more you immerse yourself in Spanish, the more you'll start to notice these idioms popping up, in conversations.
It's everywhere. Books, movies, you name it.
It's like you're unlocking a secret code that allows you to really connect with the culture.
Yeah, on a deeper level.
On a deeper level. It's funny. Before this deep dive, I kind of saw idioms as these like quirky little add-ons to language.
Right.
But now I realize there's so much more. They're like these essential building blocks
They are.
that really give language its
Yes.
richness.
Yes, so much color and
Yes.
humor and depth to communication.
But I have to admit
Yeah.
that some of these MOSCA idioms
I know.
are just downright hilarious.
They are so funny.
Like, I mean, who would have thought
I know.
that killing flies with cannon fire
Right.
could be such a clever way
I love that one.
to describe someone going overboard?
It's so great.
It really is. And it's that combination of absurdity
Yeah.
and insight that makes idioms
So memorable.
so memorable. So,
And the more you learn, the
Yeah.
more you start to appreciate the creativity and the
Yeah.
wit that goes into crafting these expressions.
so to all of you language enthusiasts out there,
Yes.
I encourage you,
Embrace those idioms.
embrace the world of idioms. Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
get a little lost in translation.
Yes.
That's where the fun begins.
That's where the real fun is.
That's where the real fun is.
And who knows, you might even discover some hidden gems
Yeah.
in your own language that you never noticed before.
Yeah.
Idioms are everywhere.
They are.
Just waiting to be uncovered.
Yeah, it's like they're just hiding in plain sight all along.
Right, just waiting for us to
Waiting to be.
to really pay attention.
Yeah, to be noticed.
And the best part is once you start noticing them,
Yeah.
you can't stop seeing them everywhere.
You can. They're everywhere.
They really are.
In books and songs. And
In everyday conversations.
everyday conversations, yeah.
You know what I find really fascinating is how idioms can also connect us to the past. Ooh, that's interesting.
They're like they often reflect these traditional ways of life, beliefs, values
Right.
that have been passed down through generations.
It's like each idiom carries a little piece of history within it.
It does.
And I think, for example,
Yeah.
some of the MOSCA idiom that we discussed, like Khazar moscas,
Yeah.
might reflect a time when
Right.
people's lives were more closely tied to nature.
It makes sense.
And they were just more aware of,
yeah.
the insects around them.
Right. Like those idioms have evolved alongside
Mm-hmm.
the culture.
Yeah, exactly. Reflecting those changing attitudes
Right.
and perspectives.
It's fascinating. So
Yeah.
if you're really looking to immerse yourself
Mm-hmm.
in a new language,
Yeah.
don't just focus on the
Yeah.
grammar,
Right.
the vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to those idioms.
Yeah, they'll open up a whole new world of understanding.
They do. They really do.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been so fun.
It has.
Buzzing around the world
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
of Spanish idioms with you today.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all of our listeners out there,
Yeah,
keep exploring,
keep learning.
and
keep those moscas buzzing.
keep those moscas buzzing. I love it.
Until next time.
Until next time, happy language learning, everyone.